Call the meeting to order. It's 5 o'clock, and this is our work session. And following, we'll be having our SBDM presentations tonight. Okay, so we're going to review our agenda items for this month, starting with our meeting minutes, or our agenda items. And I think we're going to have one to add, right, Thursday.
And I sent you all some paperwork on it today, by email, and there is a link to the documents. It's a very large file, and I apologize, that is my phone. I'm so sorry. It's a file that, there we go. It's a file that if you click on the link, you should be able to see all the documents, and it's very large, so we'll try to get it uploaded in another format for you as well, and it is a link on that email. Basically, this is just an approval of the final documents on the construction, or the construction documents on the Gapping Park. And this was something we expected to come in. It just happened to come in today.
Okay.
Instead of coming in earlier enough for us to get on it.
Right. Okay. Board members, have you had a chance to review the minutes? Is there anything that needs discussion on the minutes? And then treasurer's report. Okay.
Nothing really exciting this month. We did have some debt service payments that went through, but accounts payables down a little bit, and everything else is in line.
If there's nothing that anybody has questions about, we'll move on. Bills and salaries.
This month, really the significant portion of that, again, is a debt service payment of about $500,000. So it's another scheduled payment. We expected it. Otherwise, we did have a payment to architecture for the central office roof replacement. There was also a $10,000 payment to Gatton Park, or to RBS Design, excuse me, for the Gatton Park design.
For the architecture, for the roof?
$6,675. And that's calculated based on a percentage of the overall BG1. That's a state mandated.
Okay. Is there any questions? School bills. Payments. If not, go down to superintendent's report.
Okay, obviously I'll defer most, as I usually do. I will talk Thursday night a little bit about some of the school safety stuff where we met. I think, I know Daryl and Susan, you guys were there. I'll talk about that meeting a little bit, what's come out of it, a little more in depth there. I'll also talk a little bit about what goes into a decision. This may help Gail with explaining some things about what goes into the decision to cancel or delay schools. I think some folks may think you wake up at 5 o'clock and kind of look out your window and make a call. There's a little more goes into it than that. So I may kind of go through that, just let folks know. There's a lot that goes into it, try to get that right. But tonight, I have Vicki Yance here. Vicki is going to speak a little bit about the drug-free community grant, the possibility of us getting that and possibly us hosting that. Is that the right word, the host? You can explain a little better. I know, Susan, you had a chance to go and be part of that. You know a little bit about that as well. So if you would, Vicki, kind of talk a little bit about that. It's a pretty nice opportunity possibly for us.
It is, and I appreciate it. Question on the pending snow days and all that. Miss Embry, did you make an announcement like on our Facebook page about decision?
It's a sheet.
A sheet, and so that was kind of to let our families know what goes into decisions like that. Is that right?
And one went home with everyone too. We sent
Okay.
it to all the schools to send them.
Okay, so the decision, we followed that as far as for making decision for this morning or today, correct? I mean,
Well, we
there
did-
wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Thank you.
There's a lot more goes into it. That's the basics, but I may go a little deeper than that.
Okay.
But yes, we did follow that.
Okay. Main thing, are we having school tomorrow? Because I got ready for kindergarten tomorrow night. If
I think we're going to. It looks
if I
good
can
at
put
this
one more
point.
time, it happens, though, it happens. Okay, well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you just a few minutes about the DFC. And usually I'm talking about early childhood education because that's where my heart and passion is, but however, substance abuse awareness is also where my passion is. And I've served as president for the Champions for Drug-Free Muhlenberg County for the last several years. And we are a group of volunteers that make up folks from the school system, law enforcement, healthcare, and several other sectors. We've been around for 20 plus years. For some of you all that's been around, which I think all of you are probably too young, but this was back in the Myra Bender, John McElroy days. I don't know if you all remember that or not. Maybe somebody in here does. I don't know. But anyway, you may have seen a billboard that's talking about Talk to Me, Mom and Dad. You may have seen a TV ad because we've done TV ads in the tri-state area, newspaper ads, a hotspot card. We're currently offering training, and we've got several scheduled. I think we've got the high school scheduled and the middle school and the elementary that we're going to go in and talk to the educators about signs and things to look for, and also a group of people that do in-home visits. And so just kind of what to look out for and things to look for. But anyway, and we're also going to be doing a program in our elementary school coming up starting in March, and we've got a couple of those scheduled, and this is an anti-drug, anti-bullying. But we're not going to use the word bullying. We're going to use the word kindness makes all the difference, because we're just going to try to flip that. And so talk about bullying, talk about just being kind. So I'm really excited about that. But as you all know, as we strive to graduate students who are ready to work, a key element in that readiness is being and remaining drug-free. And we have a problem in Muhlenberg County just like everybody else does. So many people tell us that they can't hire people. We've had businesses to close because people can't pass drug tests. So Champions plans to apply for a grant called the DFC, Drug Free Community. The grant provides funding necessary to communities to focus on drug and alcohol abuse with a partnership of a local coalition. If funded, this grant could provide up to $125,000 annually, and would include funds to hire a program coordinator for the coalition for up to 10 years. The position would be housed at one of the coalition's organizations. Local school systems have proved to be the ideal partner to serve as the grant receiver. The grant right now is being held by the following schools: Lyon, Webster, Trimble, Casey, Butler, Pendleton, Grant, Kenton. Other school systems that's had the grant, but they've worked out their 10 years, have been McLean, Ohio, Davis, Lexington, Grace, Monroe, and to be honest, these are just the ones that we had time to look up. I'm sure there's probably more. I've listed the requirements in a handout I'm going to give you in a few minutes about the requirements and what it would require for you all, for the board to do. But if the school system is willing to be the fiscal agent, an MOU would be created in the school system and Champions, between the school system and Champions, and we'd be bringing that to the school board for approval. But let me just add, several years ago, we had a grant called the SPIF-SIG, and I don't know anybody here, I know Gail remembers it because we worked together on it. The SPIF-SIG grant, we targeted meth because at one time our KIPP survey showed us that a very small percent of sixth graders had tried meth. So that kind of freaked us out. So we got this funding, and because we had the funding and we had people just concentrated on this, we really hit it hard in Muhlenberg County, and we made a difference. The Sheriff's Department told us how much that, they saw a difference in it. And then when the funding went away, so did the concentration. And guess what happened? Everything started going back up. So I've got some KIPP surveys I'm going to give you just in a few minutes too, but as you're going to see when you look at these, we are higher in the state in a lot of our things. This grant focuses on 3 drugs that you have to report on, but you can also do prevention in the other drugs as well. But it is tobacco, alcohol, and marijuana. Now we know that if someone smokes cigarettes, they're like 400 times more likely to smoke marijuana. That doesn't mean everybody that smokes cigarettes smokes marijuana. You see what I'm saying? But we know that we start there with tobacco. And then of course the alcohol. They are all gateway drugs, and we have to start young. This grant only focuses on 12 to 18-year-olds, which if we can make a difference in our 12-year-olds, if we can get them prepared to say no or to go a different route than drugs, we've done a great deal. And they are going to graduate and be more successful. So that's one of the things. Also, the KIPP survey that we're going to hand you out in a second, I want you just to look at those, and if you have any questions, somebody in the room will be able to help you with it, I'm sure. But also, as Robbie mentioned, we did get to go to D.C. last week, Washington, and we went to the CADCA training, and we got to hear just session after session about opioid use and prescription drugs. You all know how terrible that is, and it's not just here, it's everywhere. So focusing on this, we would have one person, their job would be just to educate and awareness and doing prevention work in Muhlenberg County with our 12 to 18-year-olds. We've never had that. You know, the law enforcement, they're too busy chasing bad guys and doing, they do some education programs in our school. We work with the Sheriff's Department with champions. But to have one person that would be their job. Every day they'd get up and this would be their job, is to help keep our kids off drugs and to prepare them. So I'm very excited about this, and if you guys would consider that, I know tonight I'm not asking for any kind of decision, of course, but the only thing about it is the grant is due March the 29th.
Oh,
so we don't have a lot of time, right?
Never.
So we'd probably have to call a special session to vote if that is the case. I do have some handouts, Gail, if you don't care to hand those out. And also while she's handing those out, Susan, you want to just give your thoughts on the training that we went to? And she also is the president of Visioning 2020, so it really kind of helped her out in the visioning department is what, she was there for.
Yes, I was honored to have the opportunity to go both from a perspective from the Vision 2020, because as we visited all the communities throughout the county, drugs was a big issue, and everywhere we went, drug prevention, rehabilitation. So that was, in several sessions I went into, just reinforced the process that we went through. And this is one solution I think would benefit the community as a whole, as well as the school system, because it was my understanding it does focus on middle school and high schoolers. As you can see, there's several schools that have done this in the past, are still doing it. So I think it's an opportunity, and from what I understand, the school is the fiscal agent, the person that we hire to do this is an employee of the school. So you do have access to getting those kids and those parents to get that information home and to work with them from that perspective. I would recommend, as I've told the group that I was with, to talk to some of the other schools that have done this, see what they think about it. There's other agencies that can host it, but just that, I think there's a huge benefit to being in the school. I think where we've seen that we're seeing our numbers creep up from where we don't have the specific focus on this, I think that will probably continue if we don't do that. So I just think it's a huge opportunity. I don't think of anything else that I picked up.
So Champions, it's been in the community 25 years. So when that funding went away, we quit caring?
No, we actually still have, the specific, because it was federal funding and it only lasted for so many years. And
But it's so important. How did it happen that we just kind of lost touch with making sure that we help educate?
We never did that, Shelley.
Okay.
Champions is actually funded by the Felix C. Martin Jr. Foundation. We receive $60,000 a year.
Right, but I'm just saying, so now, what have we been doing? What have we, why is this important now? Clearly, I understand, but I'm just thinking, we haven't been trying to identify and help these kiddos before now?
Yes, but with more funding, we can do more. We can do a lot more because the funding is so important. And like I said, we don't have anybody I'm president of Champions, but I also have a full-time job. So therefore, it makes it really hard to concentrate just on drug awareness. We do what we can. We have meetings every 1 to 2, sometimes it's every 3 months. But yeah, we do prevention. We do the billboards. If you drive down by Phillies, you'll see a billboard that says, "Don't wait till late." You see a casket on a billboard that says,
Yeah,
"Is
I've
it too
seen
late?"
those,
To
yes,
talk about it. So
but-
those are the kind of things that we do. We do assemblies in the schools. Stan, oh my gosh, Stan gets funded, and we also help him. Sometimes Champions has worked with Stan. So yeah, we've been doing stuff, but with more funding and with one person to have this as their job, we can concentrate on it a whole lot more.
Because it's basically volunteer based now.
Everything is volunteer. Yeah, everything is. So people are just giving up they're going beyond to give it their time to try
So
to
the
make a
person,
difference.
what does this person look like as far as their background? Are they a counselor of some
Oh,
sort?
it'd be
Are they
wonderful
law
if they had
enforcement? I
prevention,
mean,
if they were
who-
prevention specialists, or if they
Who
were.
who are these school districts putting into place? Describe for me what that person's background is.
That would be really hard for me to do because personally, I don't know any of. I went down to Lyon County and met her. She was the Frisky. And then she was the community ed director first. And then she went from community ed to the Frisky director, and now she is the coordinator of this grant. So actually, it's just a compassionate person that cares. We'd love to see a background of a prevention specialist or some sort like that. I don't know. It depends if the board is our physical agent. We will decide what the requirements are. Do you want them to have a bachelor's degree? Do you want them to have, that'll depend. But that person really is just somebody that cares and would like to see a change in the drug use in Muhlenberg County,
And it's my understanding, if we become the fiscal agent, there's no expense to the school system. I mean, the
Absolutely.
salaries, any administrative work that's done, that is kept up with and reimbursed.
Right, so it's saying the grant would be $125,000 a year. That would cover the position pay.
Right.
And any sort of resources that they need for our schools. Or I
Exactly.
guess it's middle school and high school, is that what it is? With
12 to
based on-
18-year-olds,
Okay.
yes. And then you're also going to have the additional $60,000, which I'm fairly confident that the Felix Martin Foundation would continue funding Champions. So that money would also go into the 125.
Okay, so essentially $185,000 a year for
Yeah.
one position and any other resources for the two middle schools and the high school?
Exactly. And it's a little bit different than the grants that you hold now, like with SOAR. And I'll just be honest with you, if I was in any other physical agent beside the school system, my job would be so much harder. Having that foot in the door in the school system has helped me tremendously. Even though I'm working with a lot of preschool, I actually work with all elementary, but it's just been phenomenal, the difference it's made being in the school system. So I feel like that's why this person would benefit being in the school system, because you have access to all these parents, because it is parent trainings, it's things with students. Lyon County is doing they've just gone through their first full year. And they have done some pretty cool things. And, I can't tell you that they've made a huge difference, but they've made a difference. That it takes a while, of course. And it's like with the SOAR grant, the Muhlenberg Achieve grants that you all hold through the school system. Being the fiscal agent, a munis report, a PO to pay the bills. I mean, Eric, you know what I'm talking. That's your thing. But, can you think of anything else, Eric, that you kind of do for us?
We pull the reports, we help budget when it's needed. If there's areas that need to be shifted, we can help you shift, your funds. If there are expense projections that you need, we help with that. A lot of it has to do with a lot of the reporting and then training the staff on how to interpret the reports and
Right.
and those sorts of things, so you can be better fiscal agents for yourself as well.
Right.
Okay, so two questions. Lyon County, what is that contact person's name?
Nancy, I'll have to email that to you if that's okay. Because her first name is Nancy, but I can't think of
Okay.
her last name.
And then also, when is the deadline? I don't
March the
see it.
29th.
When is
We'd
it?
actually needed to be in March the 22nd.
Second.
Yeah,
Is it anywhere on here?
probably not.
Just from being there and seeing the work that goes into this grant, it's a huge grant. I think, what'd you say, 126 pages?
126 pages. It is a booger. We've
It
applied
is.
twice, and we're not. So we don't even know for sure if we're going to get it. But I feel like we're
Give it
ready.
to Miss Gail, she'll fill it out.
We are ready for it, though. I mean, when we applied before, we weren't really ready. We have all of our sectors. I think we've got that included in your handout. We've got the judge. We've got we got so many people on board with this.
And then, is it called Drug Free Communities Grant Opportunity?
DFC.
And they, I guess, have a website?
Yeah, you can look it up.
That's a good program.
Yeah, I think we can make a difference, Raji. I really do. I think that it's needed, and and like I said, it's a grant. It's a competitive grant.
It's not gonna help.
Beg your pardon?
If you're not gonna try and take
Yeah.
initiative, nobody's gonna come and help us.
Yeah.
Well, what I was impressed with was when we met down there, was the community members, the police, the judge, and just several others in the community that have given their time to say, what can we do to help bring this here? So I think it's great that everyone's coming together to say, what can we do for our kids?
And we've done a lot, but we can do a lot more. And I can't express enough how important it is to have a person, that gets up in the morning and this is his or her job.
Eric, you can mess up $185,000.
The KIP survey,
Yes.
when, who conducted that?
Carla, do you want to?
It was from 2016, so,
We do that in the fall, every other year.
but is it our district that conducts that, or
No, it's state.
the state does? Okay, and it's just a basic survey, like KDE, through Kentucky Department of
It's an
Education?
online,
Through Kentucky Department of Education?
I believe so.
And you'll notice we just pulled tobacco, alcohol. There is some mental health ones in there, and that's because we presented it somewhere else and we just left those in there. But mental health ties in with drug abuse too. So, anybody have any more questions?
Vicki, can I share out a little bit of progress?
Sure.
Okay. Alyssa called me, Manning, on Thursday from DC and shared the opportunity and asked for some help. And I listened to the presentation, I thought it was fantastic, and I said, sure, what can I do? Little did I know, the process was to get us started. She was really concerned because there was like a 24-hour deadline in order for us to get in operation for what turns out to be a 6-week process for the finalization of our entity to be able to even apply for the grant. So what I was able to do was get our district registered with a Dun and Bradstreet Data Universal Numbering System, which is the first step to the process. That then leads you into the opportunity to set up an account with the System for Award Management, or SAM program. That has been taken care of. From there, it leads into the grants.gov application process, where you then use your Dun and Bradstreet Data Universal Numbering System to go into the grants.gov and get yourself established as an entity. And then finally, you go into the ERA Commons website, which is where we want to be, which is where all of the awards come for all of these federal type grants. So that's the last thing that I was able to take care of, and it is now waiting with the 6-week. I have all the emails and logins and everything, so
Perfect.
I don't know where it will all end up, but I'll tell you, when I was just, for an interesting thing, when I was in the first step, I knew I was in something serious when they asked me, is this your social security number?
Well,
And I said, yeah. And they said, is this your mother's maiden name? And I'm like, yeah. And so the
It's
government
really
knows us, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Exactly.
I was able to call a few people. It was a little difficult to try to get it all figured out. I was putting in Main Street, and it's just Main. So it wouldn't work because we're registered with just Main. But
Thank
bugs
you.
were all ironed out, and we are green to go as far as everything up to this point. So now we'll see what the next step is. And I'll be happy. Well, you're going to need me, I guess.
Yeah, oh,
When
definitely.
it comes time to start logging in on
Right.
this stuff. So
and
I'd be
please don't
happy.
thank us being
Nothing goes on
presumptuous.
without merit, man.
Hey,
You only had 6 weeks to get this, and so we had to go ahead and ask him just in case. I mean, if you decide no, it's okay, but if you say yes, we'd be up a creek if we didn't have these numbers. And this grant, let me just say the last thing, is that if you don't do what you say you're gonna do, you don't get funded the next year. So, I mean, they stay on top of you, we have to do what we say we're gonna do, and they have to, and actually, we send an action plan into the government, they look at it, and if they think that this is not gonna work, or this is, they will kind of tear it apart and tell you what you should be doing, with Katka and SAMHSA working together, it's the best. So, with that said, I mean, first of all, we gotta win it, and then we gotta keep it. So it's gonna be a lot of work, and it's gonna be that one person can, with the help of the coalition, because she's got 30+ members in the coalition. All right, anybody got any other questions?
It's just a renewal process for the first
For the first
5
5
years, and
years.
then it's another
Yes.
process to get from 5 years to 10
Can we approve in the
years.
March meeting, or it has to be?
The March meeting would be too late. Actually,
Can we not?
So you just went to training this weekend. You only had 24 hours to establish what Mr. Perkins talked about, and then the deadline is less than 30 days?
yeah.
They're
Wow.
worse than a bus.
But
It is worse than
we
a
are
tough situation.
we are a can-do group, and so we're not gonna let that stop us, and hopefully we'll just see where it goes. But just consider it, and then if you all decide to call a special meeting to vote on it, we can be here to present the MOU. I've got a sample of the MOU if you kind of want to see what that looks like.
I do. I want to see the job description, like what that person looks like that we're wanting to
Yeah, I don't
hire.
have that. But
And
I
I,
will
you
get
know,
that.
like Nancy, I think you're going to give me her last name, Nancy,
Yes.
whoever in Lyon County. And I want to assess with her and see how it's been for their community and also their school district. If, you know,
I'll get you
there's
that
other
information
opportunities, then,
Tomorrow morning.
or either way.
Is that all right? Okay.
Either way.
Anybody
Vicki,
else?
thanks for all you're
Thank
doing.
you. I appreciate
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
And that's all I have, Chairman,
Okay.
Superintendent report.
Thank you.
But there's other on Monday, right?
Thursday is
Thursday, yes.
Okay, so we're up to personnel actions. Is there any questions regarding that? Okay. And then there is a attendance and enrollment report.
We'll have that, our fifth month, including the 23rd of January, so we'll have that information for you with enrollment. And that's a big month also for site-based councils, since that's their projected budget, that those numbers are geared toward that as far as the financing, as far as the number of students. So got that information for you.
So this report was actually kind of reflective of what you talked about last month. Is that what you're saying?
It'll be a little bit more detail.
So I think it was just a few days from being complete.
Exactly, yes ma'am, that's correct.
So last month in January, we did not have December numbers. When will we see December numbers?
You'll have December 6th through January 23rd.
Okay.
What it is the calendar, our calendars, our attendance month, they don't run on month to month. It's based on 20 days of school and or PD days or work days. It's totally different.
Okay, so then Thursday night, when you present the enrollment numbers, it'll be what time frame?
It'll be from December 6th to January 23rd. But I've been giving you all the last 3 or 4 months, maybe the current enrollment, which is the enrollment as of that specific day. So I've been trying to give you a little information as far as that.
Thank you.
And now we're down to our board action items. The first one is to approve a memorandum of agreement with Western Kentucky University College of Health and Human Services and Kentucky Emergency Medical Services Academy. It's a lot.
I could present this for her because she had another meeting tonight. And this is very similar to the agreements we go into with the universities so that college students can observe in classrooms. It's very similar to that, except it's for college students that are going to be nurses. And so what they'd like to do is collaborate with our district so that their college students could come in and observe nurses within our school system. So that's what this agreement's all about. And much like the agreement that we do for other students to come into our district, the district will go over and review district operations and regulations with them so that the students understand what our district expects when they're in the schools with the nurses. And then they'll also complete a minimum of 8 observation hours. It could be more. Usually with the ones for regular education, it's about 15 hours or more a semester. They agree to work collaboratively to provide direction, feedback, and supervision with the nursing students. And so we're hoping that we can enter this memorandum of agreement so that students, college students, can come into our schools and observe nurses in action in the schools.
Can I get one at my job? That'd be nice.
You can talk to Julie about that.
So, what's the duration? You said 8 weeks? Excuse me.
Actually, this agreement itself, it says can be terminated upon our request or
Oh.
their request.
Well, I'm just thinking it's like a rotation, like a nursing student that has to also do a rotation. Is
Yeah,
that similar?
I'm not really sure how that
Oh.
works. And I can tell you, it usually goes by semester, and
Okay.
I would assume it'd be the same
Okay.
thing with these students, like education classes. It goes by fall semester, spring semester, where they observe about 15 hours per semester, and it says a minimum of 8 hours with them, but they would actually observe nurses a minimum of 8, so it would be more than 8.
It's probably a public health type portion of clinicals because, I mean, we didn't have that 20 years ago when I went through school, but it kind of sounds like it's a portion of like a public health focus for the nursing students, I would say.
Give them a better background, I guess, variety of experiences.
Okay.
I guess it's totally up to, it says the agreement will stay in effect until either party desires to terminate it, so it's pretty easy to get out of the agreement.
So it would just roll over semester to semester?
It'll probably much like with Murray and Western for regular ed students, we usually sign an agreement with them every year or every other year, depending on the university.
And I guess whoever comes or the group of students selected, they'll have a background check?
Yes, they all have to have background checks, and that's listed within the actual paperwork from WKU. When you look in there, that they will have to have background checks in order to come into our facility.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? All right, we'll go down to the approving BG2 outline specifications and BG3 statement of probable cost regarding the roof replacement here at the central office.
Thank you. Basically, this is just a perfunctory thing that we need to do in order to keep the process rolling for replacing the roof here. The BG2 takes the specifications that the architect outlines, and then the BG3 basically says, it looks at those specifications and says, okay, can we, what's the probable cost? So these are the next two items in the process. KDE has already approved those, so now it'll be just seeking your approval. And I emailed you all the specifications. I think I had to put it in a zip file because it was so large.
Okay, no questions. We'll go down to the award-winning bid for the roof replacement.
Once we received those items, the architect drafted the advertisement that went. We had a pre-bid meeting 2 Thursdays ago, wherein the contractors came. We basically looked at all the items associated with the roof replacement, discussed anything that the contractor saw that might have to be addressed that the architect didn't know about when they showed the pictures and those sorts of things. Look at those items, and the architect drafted any addendums that needed to be done that say, if we need to replace a different curb for one of the AC units. They took that back then. This past Thursday was when we opened up the bids at 4:00 on Thursday afternoon. These are the bid ranges that it was from $73,900 to $137,000. It was quite a range. So, and again, the preferred construction is who Mr. Nguyen recommends that we use.
Does the architect usually make a recommendation of the bids, of the 3 bids? I mean, it says Mr. Nguyen recommends using preferred construction for this project. Is that normal
Yes, ma'am.
for the architect to say who we should, or who he prefers?
I mean, he makes a recommendation. You all can select whoever you choose, but that's his recommendation, and he's the expert.
Has he worked with them before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was looking at the price difference and warranty and everything, it's all the same. They might be
Do you have a warranty?
on the roof, there got to be probably some kind of warranty.
Yeah, but I just didn't have it attached. I just didn't know. I'm sure it's at least, 20 years? That's probably KDE's requirements. Warranty on the roof. was it that did the longest roof? I can't recall.
It
Do y'all remember
was-
who did longest roof?
Bruce's Tri-State
Bruce, I
Roofing.
think.
Yes,
You said Bruce?
Bruce's Tri-State Roofing. They were bidder number 3 on your previous page, and they came in at $98,975. So they were the middle of the road ones.
Are there any issues with it? I mean, were they,
No?
doesn't know what they're
But, you know, like their removal square foot replacement's $1,250 versus $2,350 on the preferred construction. So what's the square footage that they're looking at?
4,000.
45, 35.
Yeah.
But we were pleased with Bruce's for longest, is this correct? We just didn't have preferred give a bid for the longest roof?
I don't believe they gave a bid for them.
So on this, with remove and replace wood, and it talks about per linear.
It's per linear foot. Mhm.
So if it's $5, how will we know how much that they're gonna remove and replace? I mean, is that kind of a mystery, or do we already know?
It's in the architect specifications, but overall cost, the $20,000 difference will not be made up in the roof, the deck removal and the replacement of wood blocking.
And that's in the architects, because that's the next agenda item, like the bidder roof replacement, is that where it is?
It was in the specifications that were sent out.
Okay, so it's not in my packet then?
It's not in your packet, but it's been previously sent out.
I guess this R value is about normal, 28. I mean, is that the best? That's probably the insulation, is that right, or?
That's correct.
So is that good, I guess, on a new roof?
It's pretty good. A normal house has R value of 19, so that's more than the
Okay.
regular residential home.
All right, so I just don't see any. I just wanted to match up.
Is there any other questions? If not, let's see. And we've got the approval for the contract for winning bidder on the roof replacement, so it's just.
That's just the next step in the process. KDE requires the AIA contract. That was the reason why you received that on Friday, is that Mr. Nguyen had to go back to Louisville. He has to purchase the document online, fill that out online, and then print it off. And he can't do that until he has the other information. You can't just purchase it as a boilerplate agreement and then have it on hand. So you have to purchase it every time you want to use it.
So are we already taking the bid because of what Mr. Nguyen suggested?
I mean, you don't have to.
No, I'm just-
You can choose whoever you'd like to choose. This is basically a time saver. If you so choose to go with a different contractor, then I'll have to get Mr. Nguyen to redraft a contract.
It just looks like he said this is the preferred one he prefers, and then that's what the next agenda item is to go ahead and accept it. So I just didn't know.
Well, I mean, unless there's issues, I don't, there's a pretty significant difference in the cost.
And the other option would be to have a called meeting after you had said we go with who, contractor X, and then have that call meeting, or wait until March. And given the problems that we had, we continue to have, we wanted to try to expedite this as quickly as possible.
So this is ready to go.
So it's ready to go.
Based on his recommendation and the lowest bid.
Yes, ma'am.
But we still have the option to
Yes.
change.
You have the option to pay more.
Good idea.
Have we used Preferred for anything that you know of?
That I'm not certain.
But he was recommending that he was working with them. It's like
And
But we
any
know the deck-
contractor that works with Tremco, who's the supplier of the roof decking, has to go through their certification, so they won't warranty something that's put on by a company that they haven't certified. So at that point, so you've got 3 companies that are certified by the supplier to put on this roof. And they all knew the same specifications. It's just how hungry was one contractor over the next. That's really what it kind of boils down to.
So we know that the removal and replacement per square foot is going to have to take place, and it's more with Preferred than it is with Bruce's, and Bruce, they did longest. Bruce's is $12.50, and then Preferred is $23.50, so I mean, there's a potential there to actually go more than what Bruce's bid amount is that right?
Right, but you also got a bid that's $20,000 less than Bruce's, and they're still going to have to do the removal. So you're gonna have to pay that, you may be paying half per square foot, half the price per square foot of removal, but you're still paying $20,000 more in the overall, just in the base bid.
Is that it? Consider SBDM allocations for 18-19.
These are the projected allocations for the schools that we distribute by February 28th. We're recommending $110 per student, again, this year. It's based on the 5th month ADA numbers that we receive, and it's plugged in this formula, basically. And so at this point, we're recommending the $110 per student.
So it's on the 5th month, this says 2nd month. So 5th month,
And it says adjustments will be made based on 2nd month ADA.
That's next year.
okay, so fall, that October 2018. All right, and then what is the max per student when we do the allocation? This says 110 per student. Remind me what that max is.
139.
$139?
100's the minimum.
Thank you. Are we still on a decreased enrollment?
Talked about that today, Mr. Freeman, for next year, projected, as, of course, we don't have any idea with kindergarten or what's going to change, but it looked fairly close, maybe, to where we are this year.
What it was is there's a big, based on this year's enrollment with 8th graders, there's a pretty large freshman class that will be going in, with the senior class that was relatively small. South, middle, the 5th graders coming in, it's a pretty good sized group that is about 30 kids more than the 6th graders there. It's about the same amount as the 8th graders leaving. So you got 2 groups there that's up, but then North Middle's group, that's the one that's sort of, it's about 40, a drop of 40. Those 5th graders entering, they must have a large 8th grade group. So those 5th graders that will be 6th graders, they're about 40 less. So that a difference of 20 And then kindergarten, you just don't know. I mean, I've worked, you just don't know.
Any questions? We'll go into the Family Resource and Youth Service Center School District Assurance Certification for the fiscal year 1920.
Before I speak of it, I just want to let you know this as well, that it's on page 3 of that Western agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
It talks about item number 11, they talk about the background checks. It's just saying that they are required to have those. I knew it was within the document, I forgot what number it was. And that if, for example, it's, the university will have to report, that a student has a felony or misdemeanor on their record, and then the school district decides whether or not they want to allow the person to be in
Sure.
our schools or not. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's item 11, page 3.
Yeah.
And then on the Family Resource Youth Center, this is like just one of our standard documents that we have to have signed every other year. It's basically just giving assurances that these continuation program plans that our Family Resource Center coordinators are writing at the moment are accurate. These have to go through SBDM approval, so they are looked at closely by each school and they're approved by their site base. And then also the regional coordinator, Teresa Dixon, will look at them very closely also. They're uploaded on the district website. And so they have to have a signed assurances page from the board so that they can put this with their CPPs when they upload them to the state website.
And it's every other year.
Every other year.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Go down to the consent agenda. Leave of absences, fundraisers, facilities, field trips.
Do them all the
And if there's nothing in that, then we will dismiss for
A little bit of an adjournment to go down and
Yes.
eat some Subway and
eat.
some cookies.
And we will be back.
It's Chairman Rager, this is Central City.
Hi, Central City.
Hello.
Welcome. You're first. All right. So go right ahead. Tell us about your school.
Well, I introduce our council. On the far end is Stacy Christensen. She's teacher member. Brittany Hatfield, teacher member. Michelle Arnold, teacher member. Janet Hicks, principal. Michelle Sparks, assistant principal. I made her come. And Donna Jernigan, she's a parent representative. We have another parent, Crystal Woodruff, but she had a conflict for tonight, could not be here.
Thanks, so.
Who's the other member?
Crystal Woodruff.
Yeah, yes.
So we'll just go ahead and get started. We kind of chunked our information into basically 3 areas, test scores, culture, and safety. So we'll just start with test scores. This is our test score results for each subject area for the 2016-17 school year. Probably the most informative column would be the last one, percent proficient and distinguished. So a couple of brags. First of all, Central City Elementary was the only Muhlenberg County school that increased K-Prep scores in all content areas this year.
Awesome.
Good job. Congratulations. We're very proud of that. We're above the state average in reading, math, and language mechanics. We made significant gains in writing. We're not satisfied with that because writing's still very much our lowest score, but it came up tremendously from the year before when it kind of plummeted. So we'll talk about writing first because that's our focus for this year. We have 2 new 4th grade teachers that we sent to writing training. We have 2 new 5th grade teachers that we also sent to Able and Atherton on-demand writing training. They're kind of the premier writing professional development people for our area. So we got that done off the bat to help prepare those teachers. We utilize our special teachers to assist in writing in the 5th grade. We work their schedule around so they can be in there to help. We did that last year as well. We felt like that helped us to make our gains in writing. We have implemented vertical professional learning communities where we're focusing just on the writing. We also have other PLCs that go on for grade level, and our focus there is math and reading. So we got 2 things going on there. We have a dedicated writing time to explicitly teach our writing strategies, and Brittany has taken it on this year. She is our 5th grade writing teacher. So that brings some consistency to that writing instruction. We have completed our fall scrimmage test. We've already scheduled our spring scrimmage test. And in those scrimmage tests, we're doing those. In the fall, we did 1st through 5th grade. In the spring, we're going to include kindergarten in that too. Obviously, in a much more simpler form, but we do want them to get used to testing and to see the importance of that without stressing them out at the same time. So in our focus for our PLCs, just last time they had to work on a writing unit together within their grade level teams, and they're implementing those, and then we'll look at the results later this month from their writing units that they're doing. For all of our subject areas, we're working with KDE Novice Reduction Coach Janora Anderson. She's actually from Hopkins County, but she does work for KDE. We kind of stumbled across her about 1.5 years ago, and I sent Leah Renfro to a training on novice reduction where she met her. We sent some other teachers as well. She said, I'd be glad to come and help, and we're not going to let her go. So she's been very, very good for us and keeps us focused.
Good.
So we have been pushing the 5 phases of direct exclusive instruction in our lesson planning, and we look for follow-up with those through our observations and walkthroughs that we do in the classrooms. We're working on helping teachers to increase student engagement through the use of Kagan strategies. We had several teachers that trained in that this summer. We would highly recommend and love to see that district-wide training.
Kagan strategies?
Kagan strategies.
Did they have to go off-site when you say this summer, or was it someone that came here?
We had someone come here.
Okay.
It's very expensive training.
Okay, but it would be beneficial?
Very good training.
And I'll throw in really quickly, all of our middle school and high school math teachers will be getting that in the next month or so.
Okay.
We, this summer, they trained all special education teachers, and then each school got to send 2 regular ed teachers to go along with that.
Each school did. Okay.
But it's one of those trainings where you just have to go through it personally for it to make sense. You can't just have someone come back and tell you, although we're trying to disseminate that information in that way.
But it's not easy to simplify to share with
No,
others.
you could go to a 3-day training and come back and try to teach it in 2 hours. You know, it's just loses its effectiveness. But it's very good training, and it's for any content area. It doesn't have to be just for reading or math or science.
Okay.
School visits, we have done some school visits. We sent our 5th grade teachers to Bremen Elementary because they have such wonderful writing scores, so we went over to see what we could glean from them. So our 5th grade teachers went and spent a half a day with the Bremen teachers, and then we went back with them in the afternoon after school and debriefed with them, with the leadership team at Bremen, and talked about some things. Then we sent our K, 1st, and 2nd grade teachers to Grapevine Elementary in Hopkins County. They're very similar to our school's demographics, and they've turned their school around with test scores. So they all got to go and spend a whole day at Grapevine Elementary. The really neat thing with that, when they went, the way it worked out, they also got to sit in on their PLC meetings. A couple of things that we learned and really liked with their PLC meetings was, number 1, they are run by the district. The district elementary supervisor comes in and runs all PLC meetings in every elementary building. And they are very, very focused meetings.
This is Hopkins County?
Mm-hmm. And
they're very data-driven. I was fortunate enough to go with some of our teachers and sit in on that, and You know, when the district person was sitting there, they went through all their scores, and then she turned right around and said, okay, now what are you doing for this one? And what are you doing? And let's name and claim. And they sat there and named and claimed their kids and told what plan they had in place for that child, and it was very impressive. It was
The big thing, you know, when you're working with students, it's very easy to want to make excuses on why, you know, this one's parents were arrested last night, or this one's parents are on drugs, or this one they're living with grandmother who's dying of cancer. And it's very easy to want to fall into that and make excuses on why they're not performing at the level they need to be. And the big thing in Hopkins County is they've done away with that. So it took them about 2 years to say, there's no buts. What are you doing for this child? And it's kind of eye-opening. And their elementary supervisor is pretty hard-nosed. So,
And that's one person over the district also, or is that also that PLC district trainer?
she takes
both?
care of
Okay.
Yeah, she's the district supervisor.
So share
For
with me,
elementary.
PLC district coordinator or supervisor?
well, I think
Do
their
they go
title
into?
is actually elementary supervisor.
Okay, so do they have something that also goes into middle school and high school in their district? Or do you think
I
that
think so.
there's two people in the district that handle? I'm just curious.
I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, didn't mean to, but it sounds effective. So
We actually, go ahead.
They have a lot of district-driven initiatives too. If it's going on in one school, it's going on in every school. And that was one of the things that stood out to me those days.
We actually visited, Michelle and I did, not this year, but last year, went to another school in Hopkins County. And that's where we learned about Cars and Stars. Cars and Stars is an assessment program that's based on the 12 areas of reading. And they had started it as a pilot in that school with their 4th grade teachers. They really liked it, and it is spread district-wide this year. All the elementary schools are using Cars and Stars. We are piloting it this year with our 4th grade, and they really seem to like it. But it has those 12 reading strategies that are common to all readers. They have a short assessment that they take. They can learn very easily, very quickly on what they need to focus on. And then there's a program with them to help them to develop those skills. And so we're experimenting with that this year. There's a math part of it too called CAMS and STAMS, but we're working on the Cars and Stars right now. So, any questions about anything with test scores?
congratulations on the hard work. I know it's a lot, so.
It's very impressive, the plan that you put before us, what you're doing, learning from others, and just digging in, and thank you. Appreciate everybody's hard work.
We'll talk a little bit about culture. This year we started our school year off with, I shared my vision with the faculty and staff. Then I asked all the teachers to write their classroom vision of their own. They are posted in their classrooms, and then I asked them to refer to them again, just to revisit that periodically. Kind of keep that as their focus. And this is in no certain order, we just kind of did some brainstorming. We had a faculty cookout at the beginning of the year at one of our teachers' homes. We did a Christmas dinner party and ornament exchange. We did the bookstore study that went along with our opening day speaker, the one word that'll change your life. We did an art activity. Each teacher chose their one word, and then they painted it on a canvas, and we have those hung outside their classroom doors. We changed our schedule to do what's called Sharpen and Saw, and during that time, it's on a rotation. Each grade level goes one day, like 5th grade, the next day's 4th grade, the next day's 3rd grade, and it's 30 minutes in the afternoon, where if their behavior is where they're supposed to be, and if they've got all their work completed, they get to go and participate in some fun activities, which goes along with the 7 habits of highly effective children. So the kids enjoy that, and our special teachers take care of that a lot. But a lot of it is very engaging, and lots of movement involved in that. Those students who do not get to go to Sharpen the Saw have to work on homework, work they didn't complete,
They do
or
reflections.
do
on the
reflection
behavior.
on their behavior, what they need to do to improve so that they can go next time. We do a woot woot wagon. Michelle and I have very lovely, no matter what she says. Do you all, and I'm going to tell my age here, do you all remember the Solid Go dancers years ago?
Maybe.
Gold LeMay.
Maybe. I have to.
She found
Maybe a
us
Saturday
two
morning.
gold LeMay jackets. So
Saturday.
she thinks we look like the Solid Gold dancers. I think we look like those two wild and crazy guys.
Oh, yeah. SNL.
We have a card.
I'm not commenting on it.
I was going to, Brittany's full of it.
We started this last year and that we have a cart fixed up with gold paper and we just do random drawings and the faculty or staff member this name's drawing gets a Coke, candy bar, and a cup of ice. But we go in and we play some music and Michelle and I act a little silly and dance and then the kids get to give their teacher a woot woot. So the teachers look forward to that.
Good.
This year we did home visits before school started. Every child in our building got a home visit from a member of our faculty. It was quite an undertaking to organize, and we left them bracelets. We'll talk more about those in a few minutes. And a pencil, and it was just a very short visit, but I think the students appreciated that, and the teachers, it's eye-opening to get into some of those homes.
Ishan, when he seen a teacher come through, he thought he's in trouble.
It took forever for him to come to the door at church.
Yeah, it was you.
It took forever for him to
Yeah,
get
he
to the
was
door.
worried, he's in trouble.
But we think that really helped to helped our school culture with our students. I do weekly good news emails. I did send one of you all, or send those out today, so if you check your email, that is in there, and I do that weekly. Most of them are shout outs to our students who have achieved something, and then throughout the week, I read those over the intercom and recognize those students. We do monthly student recognition assemblies where we recognize Student of the Month, students who give 110%.
Math award.
The math award. I'm leaving out something though. Citizenship award. And we have arts and humanities award, like the Golden House, the
What is
Golden
that island?
Study
Study
Study Island
Island
Award.
Yeah.
Those students who have completed all lessons and received all blue ribbons in a subject in Study Island, we recognize. And then it's AV Honor Roll and different things throughout what's ever appropriate for the month. We recognize Bus Riders of the Week. We do lots of good news postcards as an incentive for the teachers to make sure they get those sent out. This year we started doing where we draw in our student recognition assemblies, we draw copies of those postcards that went home. And those students get to do something fun and special with their teachers during the student recognition assembly. We've done Hungry Hungry Horses, which is a take on Hungry Hungry Hippo. This past month, they got to build a snowman with their teacher. They wrapped somebody in toilet paper and had to add the nose and the mouth. And we've done turkey calls.
Yeah, Thanksgiving one is usually the best.
So they get to do something a little special, and they get to pick which teachers that they work with to do that. I do the weekly faculty or staff recognition emails to Mr. Davis. We have a school-wide jobs program where students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade can apply for school-wide jobs. They do fill out an application. They do go through a hiring process, and we're pretty strict about that. You know,
And they do
just
get
put-
fired, too.
They do get fired.
so
If they're in trouble, if they get an
Get an
office
evaluation.
referral, then they have to give up their job. But we're pretty strict. Like, we tell them they have to have first name and last name. If they don't have their last name, if they just put Johnny on the paper, then we do not choose them. They're not hired. After we go through them, Michelle's really good about writing on there why, what was wrong with their application, gives those back to the teachers, and then the teachers can go over that with them. So we're hoping that maybe that will instill with them over a long period of time that if nothing else, you have to fill out a complete application.
Can you come home and show the 20-year-old?
No blanks.
And are they getting an allowance?
No.
I understand, yes. But it could be competitive. I mean, they might
do
want
feel
to.
important though.
They get out of
Yeah.
It is,
Some of
my
them-
jobs are very competitive. She always brings me a stack of people that wanna work in the gym.
Yeah.
And then like the ones, a lot of times we'll use them, like if we have a program to hand out programs and they have these little vests that says Central City.
So they're identified if that they're doing
So
a.
they get to wear those.
Do they rotate like for a certain amount of time and then there's?
Usually we do a month at a time. Now in the
Month at a
winter,
time.
lots of times we do 2 months because we usually get some
And
snow
weather
days in there,
takes
so.
They don't get as much, so
You know.
They
extend
put
the time in the
kids-
winter.
They put the kids in the bus, cars.
Right, they love the car rider.
It's a good program.
I utilize the school messenger a lot. All of our teachers utilize Class Dojo to help communicate with parents. It's probably been our most successful way of communicating with parents is through the Class Dojo.
No, what is that?
We find it instantly how good or bad your student is.
Teachers, it's kind of a texting type program, but it's communicated, so it's not, it keeps the parent from directly contacting the teacher through their personal cell phone.
Okay.
So it's an app type thing.
But if, for instance, if they misbehave in gym class, I can immediately go to their name,
Dojo
go to
down.
needs improvement, and it takes a point away from them, and the parent will immediately know
Gotcha.
they lost a point in gym today,
Tammy
so
can-
they did something bad in
Then
gym.
it keeps it open at 8 o'clock when Ishan goes to school. They say 2 up, and then 1 hour, 3 down.
It's really nice
I'm being
because
honest.
it's very
That's how it is.
consistent. It's a very
Yes.
consistent
That's
program because
great.
we
Yes.
can all do it.
And they
I
compete
think
for
it's simple
points
to
and
understand,
Yeah.
simple
things
for
like that.
the.
They use
That's what we used to go to
messaging
Sharpton
also.
Saw.
Yeah.
Is this unique to your school or do other schools? do they-
Other schools, I mean, any school can do it, but we've been using it
For a long time.
for a
I
while.
think it's pretty common.
We do family nights. We have a family night coming up on the 22nd. It's a family math night. We do parent-teacher conferences twice a year. In the spring, we do, or in the fall, we do traditional parent conferences, but in the spring, we do data nights where the students delivering that information. I send out a daily, it's called Daily Walk the Talk Quote. It's something a little inspirational, and I try to send those out daily to the faculty and staff. We do 4 fairs a year. We do a health fair, a multicultural fair, a career fair, and an art fair. We've already had 2 of those. We're working on our multicultural fair, which is coming up in March. Every grade level does student plays. Our 4th and 5th grade actually perform their plays at Christmas at Phillips Martin, and it's been very successful. And they work very hard, and that's their reward is getting to perform on the professional stage. Every year we do what's called Merry Christmas to Us. We usually do that about the first week of December, and that's where we break the faculty and staff down into 5 teams, and then they do something special for the rest of the staff one day. It generally rotates around food. Central City teachers love to eat. So that's very successful. We also do monthly potlucks. This Friday is our one for February, and it's
The foods we love.
We do college days every month. The last Thursday of each month is our college day, and we ask everybody to wear their college attire. Get those names of those colleges out, keep them fresh. All of our teachers have their pennant of their school outside of their classroom, and it's labeled with their degrees and where they got those. So college isn't for anybody, but we want them to know that it could be for them, and that there is more than Murray and Western, although we know that Murray is the best.
Or
I got a
UK.
degree from me, so. We do try to utilize our community members a lot. We have Rotary Reads coming in this year. That's something new. We have Muhlenberg Mentors. We have a Big Brother, Big Sister program that we utilize a lot. The library comes in. The Muhlenberg County Extension Office comes in and does different programs with our students. And we utilize a lot of those in our fairs, especially the career fair and the health fair. We have lots of success with our community members helping with those. This year, at the beginning of the year, was Solar Eclipse Day. Of course, we did, PTO purchased the eclipse shirts for all our students, and we did the photo with the drone out on our ball field, and then each student got the Solar Eclipse postage stamp this year. We have been very blessed that we have the Confucius Classroom Grant this year, which is funding our Chinese teacher. Last year it was for free. This year we got the grant and is funding that. And by the way, Friday is the Chinese New Year. So we are going to have a Chinese New Year celebration. We have ordered a huge Chinese parade dragon, which is somewhere between Beijing, China, and here. And I don't know if it's going to get here in time.
I hope it does.
I do too, because we really are counting on it, but they can't guarantee that it's going to be here by Friday. So if not, we'll have it for next year. We currently have the Deaf and Hard of Hearing program, which has also been a benefit to our students. So not only do we teach English, we also teach Deaf and Hard of Hearing, American Sign Language, and we teach Chinese. So we have 3 languages going on in our school. We purchased at the end of last year, all of our faculty and staff got One Team, One Dream t-shirts, and we did wear those on our school visits, and we wear those periodically throughout the school year. This month I've been giving daily challenges to the students on the announcements, like smile at someone today, open the door for someone, help a custodian, just to try to help them with their social skills and to utilize those manners. Stacy was just awarded last week the Delta Project Fitness Grant of $1,500 to purchase additional equipment for the gym. Toward the end of this week, or end of this month, I'm sorry, we are working on our Read Across America week. And our Monday, our focus is Fox and Socks. Tuesday's Green Eggs and Ham, Wednesday's Wacky Wednesday, Thursday's The Cat in the Hat, and Friday's Other Places You'll Go. We've asked a member of the board to come over, someone that works here, and to read those books. We've got that video, and each day they'll be sharing that. And then we have activities for each day that'll go along with it. The lunchroom is going to serve green eggs and ham on Tuesday of that week. And on Friday, weather permitting, we're going to do a balloon launch with Other Places You'll Go.
Oh, really good. And that's in March, Read Across America?
It's the end of
it's the end of February.
It's the end of February into March 2nd.
It is March 2nd.
His birthday, I thought, was March 2nd.
Right,
Okay.
that's the Friday of the places you'll go.
So who's reading Fox and Socks?
Lee Freeman. No?
Who is reading Fox and Socks? That's a great book.
Mr. Davis, Mr. Davis read one.
What did she read?
He read
Cat in the Hat is a lot longer book than I originally thought.
That's okay.
Like 300 and some pages.
Yeah.
Melanie Brown is reading Fox and Socks.
Oh.
Green Eggs and Ham.
Is that Mr. Perkins?
That was Mr. Perkins.
Yeah.
And Wacky Wednesday is Mr. Freeman. The Cat in the Hat is our wonderful superintendent, Mr. Davis. And The Place You'll Go is Miss Penny back here.
Well, Fox and Socks is a tongue twister.
That's the smallest one, not shortest one.
Fox and Socks was hard.
It is very hard. It talks about numbing your tongue. You can't feel your tongue, and you're like, yeah, I can. So, it's a good book.
We'll go on to safety. We do work a lot at safety. We try to keep all our exit doors locked at all times.
Before you go any further, I want to ask you something.
Okay.
I had 2 kids in my store Saturday. Neither one of them could write their name. You're talking about teaching a writing class. Are you teaching cursive writing?
Cursive writing is not currently in the state curriculum.
I know it's not.
It should be.
It should be, yes.
But our 3rd grade teachers
It
are.
really irritated me because a freshman and a junior couldn't write their name.
It's been out of the curriculum for quite some time, but they're slowly trying to get it back in. I don't know if it ever passed or not, but our 3rd grade teachers are teaching cursive writing this year. So I understand my son can barely write his. He can't read it when he does, but yeah. Safety, exit doors are locked at all times, classroom doors are locked. We've been going around talking to the students about safety as a result of the unfortunate event in Marshall County. Not only are we talking about safety at school, we're also talking about safety away from school and things they can do to keep themselves safe. We've also incorporated fire safety into that because over last weekend we had 3 major house fires. And one of ours was a family that lost their home last weekend. So we've also been incorporating some safety and fire safety into that. We currently have key cards on 2 entrances. We practice our safety drills regularly. We throw a twist in there every once in a while. We'll block an exit for a fire drill or reroute them for some reason. We took our 5th graders in Head Start into the cafeteria last month for the lockdown. And it was actually the Head Start lunch. It was not 4th grades, but was it 4th?
It was 4th because they went
okay.
down to, they told them they needed to talk to them all as a group and took them in there.
To ask them what they would do if we had a lockdown and they were in the cafeteria. And of course, when you're dealing with Head Start, they move slowly. But they all knew where to go, and we may try that again with another grade level. We try to be very consistent with our procedures and our practices to the building, especially with student pickups. If a parent comes in, like for Valentine's parties, we will take their license or their keys before they're allowed to go to the classroom. In the afternoon for our car rider pickups, if they do not have their car rider tag, we make them come around and come into the building to pick up their children, which really tease off some of our parents sometimes, but we try to be consistent with that. Mr. Joe Carr. Just some needs that we'll throw out there. Central City is in desperate need of security camera upgrades and our server upgrades. I think we probably have one of the oldest security camera systems. If something should happen, and we need to look at them, we need to know where the student was, what they were wearing, who was around them, what were they wearing, what time it was, and our cameras never go along with the time. So if something happens at 12:15, you have to sit and watch the video from about 11:30 to 1 o'clock and just watch it. It's horrible. It's horrible. I know that we are on the list to have that done, but also we have no exterior cameras except on the playground, but it's so far away that they look like ants and you can't pick anything out from the playground area. But I know that I got a call from the bus garage back in January, want to know if we could pull up exterior cameras to look at the buses. Someone was still in the extension cords off the buses that they were plugged in, but I don't have any exterior cameras. We would like to have additional key card entries on all the exterior doors. We unfortunately have a neighbor
You gonna talk about it a little bit?
who
The pension is late now.
the front half of our property was in the city limits where there is zoning. The back half of our property is not in the city limits and there's no zoning. And there are lots of dogs, horses, cattle, goats, I don't know, donkeys.
Baby donkey.
We don't have to go to the farm, we have the farm right there on the school ground.
Privacy fence? Yes, and it's quite the eyesore. So a few years ago, we did extend the fence toward the road, but we really need to extend the fence back to the ballpark.
So that's where all the animals are.
Yes.
They come right.
Do they figure out some way to curb
get
the
out
smell?
and they're never disrupted? I'm just curious.
We've had
Particularly the dogs.
The dogs do have that.
They've come over
And ball
several
game is
times.
going on, they keep on barking in the fence, it's nonstop.
Yeah. The other thing is a paved road. A few years ago, we changed our car rider system because prior, parents had to park their car, get out and come into the building to pick up their children. Because of just the logistics of our school, if you tried to do anything, they would be backed out on 431 on the curve, and that was very dangerous. So we did have a road cut between the ballparks and come up behind the school, and it's kind of a dog leg through there. Gravel was put down, the gravel's been rolled, but it's been probably 3 years since gravel's been put on it, and we've got potholes that you could lose a car in. And it really needs to be paved. But by the time we were ready for pavement, that's when the financial crisis hit. But I think we're the only school whose car rider line is not a paved road.
Okay.
That's pretty tough.
Also, we're gonna need some lunchroom tables. We have 2 lunchroom tables that have been welded, so they can't be welded anymore and they cannot be folded up. So to clean the lunchroom floor, you have to move the tables. I don't think our gym floor has been repaired and painted since it was originally installed. And it is really showing its age. We'd love to have the parking lot sealed and striped. And we would love to have some response to intervention personnel. So that's our big high-ticket needs.
Didn't you used to have that?
Yes, we did.
We did have that.
Yes, we still have RTI,
Okay.
but our classroom teachers have to provide that. And if you're trying to provide one-on-one instruction or 1-to-2 instruction and keep 18 other kids going, it's very, very difficult.
Every time Miss Penny asks us in the assistant principal's meeting, what do we need? That's what we say, RTI personnel. We desperately need
So
RTI.
previously you had RTI?
Yes.
Okay.
We
So
did
when
have
you
some
had that, it was one person in the building or a team or just kind of?
It just kind of varied from building to building.
Okay, and it was only Central City, like almost every school had a person, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Rather than the teacher incorporating it into their class day.
Teachers still had to do some, but most of the RTI teachers, that was their main responsibility, did those tier 3s.
Okay.
Because if you're working with a tier 3, that's one-on-one for 30 minutes. So if you do one-on-one for 30 minutes in math, then they may need to be reading, so it's one-on-one 30 minutes in reading. And then if they have behavior interventions or writing interventions, you could spend 2 hours with one child easily. And that's not 2 hours that you could take away from classroom instruction.
So that's when they're already, K through 5th grade, essentially. Are you seeing the Head Start or the earlier preschool students, are you seeing, when they come into kindergarten, are you seeing the benefits of that early education? Some kiddos don't go to preschool. Some kiddos come right on in to kindergarten. So, and that's probably a challenge because some students are already in a preschool and are familiar with a routine and some basics. So tell me, do you see a lot that don't have any preschool
Yes.
background? You do?
It's right now, we're running about 50% has had
Okay.
preschool experience, 50% do not,
Okay.
roughly. It varies from year to year.
Okay.
Of course, those students that are in a Head Start program are usually there because they're has
Yeah.
a deficiency.
But not them, because we know that they're going to be enrolled. But I'm saying like just, you know that they're coming, but they haven't had any sort of preschool
Right.
structure or background.
Right.
Because a lot of it probably is just a routine, just getting them in a, you
Well,
come in and you,
exactly.
engaging them in a routine,
Riding the
so.
bus.
Away from that
Uh-huh.
home for a little
Okay.
while.
Right,
That
and
would
to
be
learn
the-
those self-help skills.
Yes.
Bathroom skills and waiting your turn and things like that.
That we forget. Well, thank you.
They will come automatically. Have one last thing for you, and it's just we just want to reiterate that you all are part of our crew, and this is Central Golden Tide Crew. And we need your help, and you're welcome to come into our building and visit at any time. I would like to say we have an open door policy, but we don't. It's locked.
That's a good thing.
Once you get past that front door, though.
We need to take
you
care
can't
of
see
your
us
driveway. I'll probably drive and see your car
Absolutely.
pickup, your potholes,
Thank you.
especially after all the weather.
Yes.
Robbie,
Thank you.
Past the school.
don't we have a
Loops around
grader
like by
blade
the
for our
ballpark.
tractor?
Between the two balls, no? First and the
Why
second.
couldn't we take your tractor down there and grade and drive for 'em?
Field, around the playground.
I know we're bound to have somebody
And there's
that
enough
knows
length
how
for
to
the
grade
car
one.
riders.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
or we
lots
can
of
get
them.
one
It's
here.
just the
Yes.
definition. Okay.
Yes,
Well,
lots,
thank
and we
you.
use that not only for ours, but Head Start uses it too.
Yeah. So in other words, your needs, they're not in any particular order,
No.
No.
correct?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I want to say to your site-based members, it's much like being a board member. It's a thankless job. I appreciate you. I know you put a lot of extra time in, and all. Principals appreciate you, and I appreciate what you do because I think you get paid, what, $0, isn't it? Thank
Get
you.
paid well.
We have a lot
Thank
of
you.
fun, though. This is pretty fun.
Well, we appreciate it.
Fun activities.
You know, I wouldn't be on it if it was fun.
I don't even know why you are pairing me with her. I just sat down here.
You're not in alphabetical order.
By mistake, isn't it?
Well, thank you. I know we got
Thank you,
another
yes.
school.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Very
Thank
much.
you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is South Elementary.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll go ahead and get started. I'll introduce everybody that's in the room. This is Miss Leanne Sherrod, our assistant principal. Miss Casey Mefford, first grade teacher. Mr. James Knowles, parent rep. And beside him, this lady's very special. I know this, of all the people in this room, I can say that with Miss Stacy Jordan, I've known her longer than anybody else. 40, I was doing the math, right at 40 years. We went to school together. It's great having her kids at our school and working with her and her husband at our school. Miss Loretta Fleming's a 5th grade teacher. And Miss Penny Gates is a computer teacher at our school. She's one of our special teachers. Back here I have Miss Kim Meadows. She's our FRC coordinator. And then over there, this gentleman is a very involved parent at our school. It's Stacy's husband, Mr. Matt Jordan. He's a state trooper, and it's always good to see him in our building. And he has been coming in a lot here lately.
He took a nice picture the other day at the high school. Yeah, I seen that.
Did you see that picture?
Yes.
You found that chair.
So we appreciate the opportunity to come before the board. We've given you a handout. You can see some of the things that we are doing. You can see our mission statement, MSCS, maximum success for every student. And our theme for this year is EPIC, which is every person is capable. If you come into our school, that's the very first thing you see hanging up in the hall is the big EPIC sign, which I don't remember who exactly came up with that idea, but it's been awesome. It goes along with the solar system, the one word, yes, and of course the big solar eclipse that was happening back in August. So that's kind of where that came from. Again, you can see we've got 4 things that we want to hit on tonight that we'd like to report to the board. And the first thing that we're going to talk about is our school culture. I think our school culture is strong. It's one of our strengths. That's why we led with that. And you can see some of the reasons we feel that's a strength. We have a very strong mentoring program at our school. I have been told that we have one of the best in the district from the folks that run it. And that's not because of me or any of the folks you see up here. It's because of the wonderful folks we have in our community who come in and work with Miss Johnson, our guidance counselor, and who work with our kids. But over 30 mentors right now. We have a great volunteer program, and that is a strength, and I want to thank Miss Kim Meadows for working with our folks for the volunteer program. We have a lot of high school students who come in and work with our kids in the mornings. One thing we're very proud of this year is our PTO. Our PTO kind of went away for a few years, and this is the first year we brought it back, and it's been revitalized. Our president is very involved as well as the other leaders in the PTO. Miss Laura she's almost there every day. She's been ill since Christmas, and we're a little worried about her, but I hope she's back this week. She hasn't been there for several weeks. Just to showcase a few other things, our Facebook page. Miss Kim loves to get her phone out and go live on stuff. As a matter of fact, I had some colleagues that were at a training and actually got to see me kiss pigs and horses and all that stuff. I didn't even know that was even possible.
You've been bean-boozled too.
I've been bean-boozled. Was that live?
It was.
That's got to be worse than the farm animal.
The bean-boozled was horrible.
Yeah, because some of those flavors.
It was molded cheese, which it did make me gag.
Oh, you got off good.
I did. It could have been worse. I think the canned dog food's the worst. But those are some things that we do to try to keep it fun and exciting at school. We do that on the news. The kids love it. Teachers love to volunteer. Not everybody volunteers, but a lot of them do. You'd be surprised who wants to do those types of things.
Rajiv, I think that would be great for board meetings if you would maybe consider.
Well, I think Stephanie should read Fox and Socks for the board meeting, and then Bean-Boozled. Yeah, not so bad.
Well, I can bring the spinner and the beans next time. We can bring it. We can do it Thursday if you want to do it.
Too.
Another strength of ours with our culture is the connections we have with our local churches. And I think our school is probably spread out about as much as Longest. So we cover a large geographical area. But you'd be surprised the connections we have to our community. And you get a sense that our school is a big part of our large community. We want to thank our churches for helping out. You can see all the things that they do. We've got several businesses that help us. TVA is a huge one. Delta Faucet out of Morgantown has been donating $25 gift cards that we've been giving away to our staff. That's been huge. Beach Bend Park, for years, they've given us tickets at the end of the year, thousands of dollars of tickets. Since the school's been for students with great attendance, they get a free ticket to go to the park over the summer. We've done parent parties 2 years in a row in conjunction with our family nights. Ms. Sherrod came up with the idea to try to boost attendance with Pancakes with the Principal. We've been doing that for a couple of weeks. That's been a real hit. You can see last year we had over 188 home visits. Another strong thing with our culture is our teachers, and they'll tell you they feel like it's family at South Elementary, and it really is. The teachers want to get together and they'll do staff potlucks. We do those several times throughout the year. One thing I stole from another school was Dash for Cash, and around Christmas time I give away money. And I'll get on the PA system and there'll be a clue, like it's some sort of line from what?
The Frozen song.
The Frozen song.
I was in the kitchen and got in the freezer.
Yeah, so you hear the Frozen song, there's a $20 bill somewhere, and you got teachers running around everywhere. Not sure how students are being supervised doing that, but I'm sure the students are safe.
We didn't hear that.
We have a lot of fun with that around Christmas time. Another thing that and I want to move on to safety, unless y'all have any questions about our culture. Do y'all have any questions y'all like to ask about? And council, please jump in on anything that you would like to talk about.
I'll say this, just this being in the school, it's obvious. You know, as I get to visit, it's obvious. It's a family type atmosphere, and you know, I credit all y'all for that. It's very welcoming. Even your lunchroom staff, they keep M&Ms for me, and, so it is a nice culture there.
Some things that we're doing on school safety, and this is always something that we have spent a lot of time and energy on. We want you to know that we do talk about school safety on a regular basis. We have our drills as we should. We've been having safety meetings with the administrative team on a regular basis, always looking for ways to improve. We've already talked about Officer Jordan. We've got 4 other dads who are police officers that are connected to the school. And since we had our safety meeting, we have invited them to come in as much as possible, and they are coming in on a regular basis, walking through the school, eating lunch with their kids, just being present in the morning and then in the afternoon when we have parents and folks picking up their kids out front. One of the nice things about South Elementary, when it was designed, we do have a double layer of doors that you can lock down, and we train our staff that if they hear lockdown, they lock the pod door as quick as they can, and then they get into the classroom and lock the classroom doors, which is something that we're lucky to have. We are looking to update our buzzer system in the front office, and I'm working with Mr. Perkins on that. And another thing that we're looking at doing is adding stickers very similar to what they have at South Middle, to where it will provide a little layer of protection where you can see what's going on outside your windows, but they can't see what's going on inside. And we're looking at doing that in the cafeteria and also in the front lobby. The thing we want to talk about is our student achievement. And Ms. Sherrod's got some numbers here, I've got some numbers. But one thing that we are very proud of, though our students may come from challenging backgrounds, we have always had a history of having good test scores. And our scores are consistent with what we've done in the past. We're not exactly where we want to be this year compared to last year, but they didn't do a ranking or classification like they've done in the past this year, so it's a little different. But I can tell you that you know, in past years, for example, in reading, over the last 4 years, proficient distinguished, we were at 63% in 13-14. The next year we were 53% proficient distinguished. The next year we were 59% proficient distinguished, and then this year last year's students were at 55% proficient distinguished. And the math scores are very comparable to that. We have seen a little bit of drop from this year's scores compared to the previous year's scores. There are some concerns there, as I think with all the schools. And there's some things we will talk about at the end on how we're trying to improve those things. But our student achievement is a strength of ours. We have great teacher leaders in our building. You see 3 of them up here. Very proud of them and all of our teachers who take the initiative to find things that work best in their classroom. They're eager to share it with their colleagues. They're not scared to try new things. And that's why we've got such a good school. We've got great teachers and great support from our community. We have utilized the framework for poverty in recent years, and you can see that we do have one of the highest free and reduced rates in the district at 73.6%. That's K through 5. Ms. Sheridan and I are going through the Leadership Challenge, which is being done through the board here, through the central office. We're finding areas that are strengths and areas that we need to work on. And just last week, Lee was sharing with me some of the things that she's noticing in her data. And we talk a lot about what we can do to improve. Another strength with our student achievement is our after-school clubs. You can see several that we have listed there. This is something that was done long before I came along. It's something that we have tried to continue at South Elementary. Again, it goes back to Ms. Kim Meadows and FRC and the connections that she has with our folks that write grants. We get a lot of money from Felix C. Martin for after-school clubs. But I think our after-school clubs, I can't say enough about our teachers, because our teachers are the ones who, they say, hey, I'll do this, I'll do that. They stay after school on their own time, and they work with the kids one-on-one or in small groups. And we couldn't do it without the teachers that, volunteering their time. And the kids love it. We do the morning news every day. We're still doing that. That takes about 15 minutes of the day. And we get to recognize all kinds of things there. Another thing we're working on is our kindergarten readiness. We have ready for kindergarten tomorrow. The one call has already gone out for the district. I received that call this afternoon. That'll be tomorrow evening at our school and all the other schools, elementary schools. I don't have the number of P5 meetings. I know these teachers, especially early primary teachers, can tell you we have tons of P5 meetings. That's where we're sitting down with parents talking about the children's progress, whether they're ready to maybe move on to the next level or go ahead and do the P5 year. We have had tons of those, and we continue to have a lot of those meetings. Seems like we're having more of those than what we've had in the past. Some things that we try to do is provide experiences for our children, for our students who may not get to see a lot of things. I was blessed to come from a home where mom and dad wanted to take us places. And we would go to the zoo. We would visit other cities. I was lucky enough I got to go to the Olympics in Atlanta in '96. A lot of our kids, they don't get those experiences, so we try to bring those experiences to school. And we've had folks from Russia with their music. We've seen Chinese acrobats come in. Kids love that kind of stuff. We're going to have African drums this year. All kinds of things that we bring to the school with school assemblies, to the point to where teachers are kind of getting upset because we're constantly going to the gym, and it seems like, not that it's taking away too much instructional time, but we do try to protect instructional time, and this is good instruction for our kids. Improvement areas, you can see that we've got a few things listed. One of the things that we have been encouraged to do through Mr. Davis is to go visit other schools. And we had the privilege to go to Olmsted Elementary, which is in Logan County. We took a team of teacher leaders, myself and Ms. Sheridan, and it was a wonderful visit. They've got a very, very strong school, very small school, sitting out in the middle of basically a field in Logan County. Very strong community there, huge community support. Maybe some of the best scores around. Our teachers went, I'm sorry,
they're K through 8?
they are K through 8. We went to the K through 5 center.
Okay.
Yeah, they were upstairs. Our teachers were able to go and see things, and they've already brought some of those things back to our school and are using them. We are constantly looking at our data. The teachers spend a lot of time with this. Map testing is an important thing that we do on a regular basis. We've got 2 bullets there at the end. Something that Ms. Sheridan and I have been talking about, and I will talk to our SBDM about, is maybe restructuring some of our staff for RTI next year, because we've got to get more help in those areas. And the last bullet is the one thing that we really have struggled with over the last several years since we lost several employees, was trying to get more RTI teachers back in the building. So if there's one thing that we would ask the board, if there's any way possible, is to help us out in that area. That is pretty much everything that I've got to say. Do y'all have any questions for us?
I always have questions.
Yes.
Thank y'all for serving, because I know it's a lot to take on and everything, and with students always in the forefront of decision making, sometimes, it's hard to make final decisions, like, what are we going to do, here and there. So, RTI, every building needs one. Essentially, you couldn't share between schools because there's always such a need on a daily basis that, you can't, like right now, gifted and talented, I think we have the one elementary.
That's correct.
And then we have the one middle. This is completely separate from that, but you couldn't share a school with an RTI person or teacher, essentially, because there's such a need. I hate to say it, I don't know how to word it correctly, but it's demanding, and it couldn't be shared with another school to work effectively. Okay.
Right. We would need one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I asked this with Central City, early learning. When you get those kindergartners, even though we have Head Start, sometimes they don't go to preschool. Is this right?
That's correct.
And so it's still the challenge. That has absolutely nothing to do with RTI. Potentially it might, but you still have to get them to a certain point.
Right.
I mean, it's easier if there is the early learning that has taken place.
Yes, and what we're seeing at our school in particular, and Mr. Wells we've sit down and we've talked about it, we look at our data. And when you sit down and look at our data, you look at early education, you look at our Brigant scores. And at our particular school, we have the lowest entrance scores for kindergartners in the whole county. But yet, we have also a decade worth of high scores. So there's a lot of learning that's taking place when they get to us and they move through our program. And we're happy about that. But what we're seeing now as a trend is that more and more and more children are coming in ill-prepared to move into kindergarten. So what's happening is when we get to kindergarten, we're moving through and we're presenting these RTI situations. Teachers are all we have, and they do an amazing job. We don't have not one RTI specialist in our school, not one. The people who are delivering this instruction, you see them right here.
In their day.
In their day. And so we don't have one person, if we've got 3 tiers, and they handle tier 1, which is general instruction, tier 2, which is a little bit of help, 3 times a week, and then tier 3, 5 days a week. So what we are asking is there some way that we can find funds somehow, some way to take some of the burden off of what they are doing? Because they are doing an amazing job, but it's hard.
So is it one person when you say, what you would like? Clearly.
I'd like 15.
Right. I mean, prior to, you had 1 per grade level? Is this right?
Well,
that'd be wonderful.
it fluctuated.
Prior to, what did you have? 2 or 3?
Yes.
Okay.
When our schools, when they consolidated, we were blessed to have some staff, qualified teachers, who were moved into the common area of the pods. I think we had somebody in every common area of the pod, so that would have been about 6. Now, some of those were through an RTA grant, which we no longer have, and those were just teachers on staff that they specialized in reading. We had reading coaches. There was a time when we had our GT teacher. We had a half-time GT teacher at the school. The other half of her day, she was an RTI reading. She was a reading coach or a reading teacher. So just over the years, through attrition and the way our staffing allocation is now, we just don't have those folks. So to say, would one be enough? Yeah, one would be great, but
You really
we
need
need probably one for reading, one for math, and then depending upon the need in each grade level. Another thing that we have done is, and I think most of the schools in Muhlenberg County are like this. I know there's some schools around us in other districts that are not, but for the way our staffing allocation is right now, we are allowed basically four aides based on our kindergarten numbers.
Okay.
We take those 4 aides and we use 2 of them in kindergarten all day, and the other 2 aides are used in other areas in the building that we feel we've got to have. So we're just really stretched really thin when it comes to the
And only
to the aides.
kindergarten gets aides.
Kindergarten gets aides, yes. Now I can tell you back when I first started, there were other grade levels that had aides because we had the staff. And so that worked tremendously. That was great. You can never have too much help.
Well, I think it's well known that there's not enough places for preschool in our county. I think that there was a statistic I read maybe 2013 or 14 that, maybe half the kiddos don't go to preschool. And so, that does not include the Head Start. So, then the ones that do, you still are trying to accommodate differently right there in kindergarten. So,
Is the Ready for Kindergarten programs that are going on, are they helping, or are you just not getting parent participation as much?
We have the best participation in the county.
Really?
At our
Okay.
school. We do, and we would love to have that double, triple.
Right.
But, we do have wonderful participation in that program, but you can't reach everyone.
Right.
Everybody is involved in a lot of different things, and sometimes things like that fall right on a ball game night, or they fall on a practice night, or something. I'm not sure what the answer is, but if you figure it out, please let us know.
So back to RTI.
Yes, ma'am.
We say reading and math. Is it mostly a first grader or is it a second grader? I mean, help me see. I would think that at some point, because everybody learns differently.
Yes.
And then everybody learns at a different time.
Right.
So share with me.
For example, my team, we have roughly about 15 kids in RTI right now.
Okay.
Spanning between math and reading, and some need just math, and some need just reading, and some need both. And we use a lot of instructional time each day to fill in those gaps and pull those kids that are struggling in those specific areas that they missed that should have already been taught. And we don't really get to do a lot of enrichment type activities with the kids who are at grade level or above. And that's something that I feel like I fail at as a teacher, because you can't send a kid to second grade if they don't have these skills. You can't, they're not going to be ready. So it really puts us in a bind as far as how we best use our time while fulfilling the legalities of RTI. So
In your first grade?
Yeah.
First grade? Okay. Thank you.
Our ideal situation would be to have an RTI person that handled reading and one that handled math, that traveled through the school, and fix me if I'm saying this wrong, so that they could handle Tier 3. Tier 3 is your worst case scenario of students that need the most help, and they can be pulled out of the classroom and they can work singly, one-on-one, 2 or 3 in a group, with that teacher outside in a quiet area, and then placed back in to the room after their session is done. And we have had great success with that.
The paperwork is a tremendous amount as well with RTI. I mean, it's very tedious, and I mean, it takes a lot of time just to upkeep the paperwork. Like, this past semester I serviced I had 6 kids in a Tier 2 reading group, and then I had 5 kids in a Tier 2 math group. And there, you have to document what you do each day, how often they're there, You have to document attendance on their paperwork, and then progress monitoring to show their growth. And just the paperwork alone is a tremendous amount of time, and we don't have time to do it during school, so that's something we have to do after hours. So it's a great undertaking, the workload with interventions.
And I'm sure attendance is huge, because if they're sick, then that's already challenging to get them back to their RTI group, potentially. I mean,
And that was one of the things when we went to OMSA we looked at. And they do some things they do some flooding.
Yes.
We looked at that, and Ms. Sheridan and I have already, we're starting to get our heads together on maybe how we can tackle this a little different next year if we're where we are with the same amount of staff that we have. We're willing to try anything at this point. Any other questions?
I want to thank each of you for site-based. I know pays, was it pay penny, nothing?
got a
Pays
free meal
nothing. It's,
downstairs.
I appreciate you. It's extra work, and I appreciate y'all have an excellent school. Officer Jordan, seen pictures of you in our high school. Thank you. We're trying to get more police presence in all our schools, and especially in our high schools. And thank you for going out of your way and doing the extra mile there.
thank you.
Thank you all for that.
Well done.
We appreciate it.
Well done. Thank you. Chairman Rager, board members, this is Greenville Elementary.
Welcome.
Well, thank you.
You can tell they're all in uniform.
You can tell.
I tell you what, we are a unit, aren't we? Big family. Well, I will just start out. If you would like, if you want us to just start out speaking, then you can ask questions as you want to. Just jump in. We were going to start out by talking about test scores. Of course, that's something that we take it very seriously, of course, but it's also something that we use, and it drives our instruction, but at the same time, it's not the only thing we use. We do have our K-Prep scores highlighted, and what you have on the handout is actually it's portions of the slideshow that was presented in October when we did our staff analysis of test scores. So I just took some information from that. And it did show, as far as the staff goes, we looked at it. Of course, we always want to look at how we did in that previous year, and we look at that, but we really want to look at overtime. So very pleased over time with steady growth, but also we're always ones that we're never happy with where we are, and we always want to improve. So again, we were pleased with steady growth, especially social studies and writing. Writing is an area that we have been working on tremendously school-wide. We've, of course, now adopted the district plan, but even prior to the update with the district plan, we were really working hard to improve and focus on writing from kindergarten through 5th grade. All of our students participate in Writer's Workshop. In kindergarten through 2nd, they're learning the foundational skills of that. And then now we're starting to see that is really beginning to pay off. One of the teachers today that looked at said the writing's going in the right direction. So I thought that was a pretty good play on words there. But again, very proud of our students and our staff, because we feel like they're performing, and they are. What really stood out to us is, as I said, we always look to where we feel like we need to grow, but we were pleased that we were above state averages, so that shows that our kids are performing at or above peers across the state. So we really focused on that. Of course, you'll notice on the different areas, we do want to reduce novice. That's a focus across the state, novice reduction. And we are doing that by working with Janor Anderson, works with KDE. She's a novice reduction coach. She actually came to us the second half of the day after we finished our test analysis in October. She came and worked with us on our key
core work processes and working with us throughout the needs assessment to get ready for and work on our CSIP. So that's what we spent the second half of the day doing. All right.
I guess I'll go over the front. Our focus for improvement, like Ms. Jones just said, we have been working with Ms. Janora Anderson. She's been a huge asset. She has showed us what a purposeful, data-driven PLC, what that looks like, how we can be effective during that time, how we can use that data to help improve our classroom goals daily. And so that's been a pleasure to have her. She's been a huge boost of energy to our school and really showing us how we can spend that time effectively and looking at that data. We have RIT-based instruction, which is, we do that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so 3 days a week. We go in 2-week cycles, so we do 2 weeks of reading, then 2 weeks of math, but that targets students right where they're at based on their MAP scores, looking at that particular band. So whatever, like the next band we're doing next week is geometry. So we looked at that as a need for our students at our school as a whole. So we looked at that, and Mr. Blake did, and then we can place students there based on their RIT score. So they're with like peers, not necessarily same grade level. Sometimes it's 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders together. But all of the students that are in that room are at that same ability level. So we're targeting the lower students and we're reaching our gifted students 3 days a week, which we're really proud of. We're really proud of that. We also just got a benchmark advanced reading, 3rd through 5th grade, which is a huge asset to us. We're learning how to use that, how we can pair that with literacy collaborative K through 2. So those are just some things that we're focusing on, working on that improvement, and continuing to try to use that data to drive our instruction daily. So.
Well, I don't know if I've gotten a chance to meet all of you. My name's Scott Blake. I'm the new assistant principal at Greenville Elementary. That's okay. I mean,
she wants to steal your thunder.
Sorry.
Well, I think we met as you've been in and out of the building a few times. But anyway, this is my first year coming to Muhlenberg County. I was formerly in Hopkins County, and as soon as you walk into the building at Greenville Elementary, you realize that the climate and the culture is just through the roof. It's evident that the teachers love the students love the teachers, students love each other, and so I've got some examples here of some ways, and I'm going to focus on the student section if you look at that. You can read through that on your own. I'm not going to read the list to you, but I do want to focus on 2 or 3 areas that just really stand out to me. The first one is a positive office referral, and I didn't give you this handout, but you're welcome to take this if you'd like to. This is something that I had in my mind whenever I interviewed with Ms. Jones and whenever I accepted the job. I talked to her as something I was really proud of, and what's interesting is she already had the same idea also. In fact, she had already created a sticker that said, "I saw the principal for something good." And so we just kind of partnered these two together, but essentially what it is, I emailed this out to the teachers and gave them a hard copy. And anytime they see a student doing something exceptional, whether that be scoring on a test, whether that be helping a student do something, staying after to help clean something up, just anything that a teacher notices, then they write the student's name, they write their name, the referring teacher. What positive behavior up here is it that they noticed? Was it respect? Was it their attitude, honesty, self-control, or any of the other ones listed? And then they write a short note just to say what the student did. And so then Ms. Jones and myself both sign it at the bottom. And then I call the student down. I'll tell the teacher, "Hey, send so-and-so down to the office, but let them know they're not in trouble." And then we do have occasionally, they still have that, that heartbeat. But anyway, they get to the office and, I congratulate them. We talk about what it was. We recognize them. And I don't care if it's a kindergartner or a 5th grader. Nobody's too big for a sticker. So I give them a sticker. They get to wear it around. It says, I saw the principal for something good, or I saw the assistant principal for something good. And then I encourage them at the end of the day to put that on their homework folder. That way, every time they open it, it can be a reminder, hey, good work pays off. And then we get to play a little trick on their parents if they want to. It's their decision, but I'll say, do you want to do this? And I'll call the parents. I'll say, "This is Mr. Blake, assistant principal at Greenville. I have your child in the office with me." And then I pause for a second. But then I tell them it's good news. But the kids always get a big kick out of that. They're grinning from ear to ear. And then we share with the parents what happened. And then I copy this, scan it, and email it to the teacher so that we both have a copy of it. So that's something that I'm really proud of that I think's been a big hit at our school. The kids glow whenever they do that. So that's just one thing. Another thing is if a student scores perfect on an MComp, which is a math test that we do once a week just to see how the students are doing for data, if they score perfect on that, they get to sign a poster that's, just a perfect MComp poster, so we recognize them for that, and they get their name, displayed, so that's always exciting. Map recognition, so, the students have to take the map test several times a year, and if they meet their goal, they get to sign a poster. If they grow 5 points, they get to sign a poster. If they grow 10 points, they get to sign a poster. And if they grow 15 points, they get to sign a poster. And I was in there whenever our librarian, Miss McGee, was calling the students up, and those kids would clap for each other. They celebrated that together, and then we displayed the poster out in the hall. And so all the kids were, just really excited about that recognition. And then the last thing I'm going to focus on is common area expectations. This is my first year, like I said, at Greenville Elementary. But looking at the office referral trends, they've gone down considerably in the last 3 years. And this year, the common area expectations have really been implemented. And basically what that is how do students behave in the hall, how do students behave in the gym, how do they behave in the lunchroom and in different areas throughout the school. And from what we can see, that's really done a good job of lowering those office referrals, which, in turn creates a better climate and better culture because students aren't being disciplined for things because they know what's expected. And feel free to ask if there's anything else that you see that you'd just like more information about.
I'm Renee Baucus. I teach first grade, and I'm going to focus on the staff culture. One thing that the whole county has, we started out as doing the one word through the book, and we have a student leadership committee with the students and after school activity or a club, and they have went around and got all the teacher words, and they have gotten all of the classroom words, and so they've had us display them in the hallway, and so the children, when they walk by, they can see the one words, and it reminds us as well, each teacher one words, and it's just a good reminder out in the hallway as well. One other thing that I feel that our staff culture is, we have a Monday morning prayer circle that I just really feel that is very uplifting. It is before school starts, and if you can make it, and I just feel like it brings us together as a school family, and we all share and with our happiness and the sad times, and I just really feel like that just brings us together as a staff. So that's just one really powerful thing, and we pray for each other, our families, and the students as well.
My name is Teresa Mason. I'm a second grade teacher. And I'm going to talk about the value of staff input, our committees. We have 4 different committees: teacher leadership, safety / building and grounds, calendar / culture, family involvement. And this gives the faculty an opportunity to give our input into things that are going on in the school. Whether we want to change it, whether it's working, but it gives us an opportunity to be involved in some of the decisions that are going on in the school.
I'm Shelby Cotton. I'm a parent rep on Site Base, and I was sitting there trying to remember if this was my 3rd year or my 4th year, but sadly it'll be my last year at Greenville Elementary. I have a 5th grader. So it's been nothing but a joy to be on Site Base and to see the growth of the school over the years that I've been on here. But a few of the things that we'll talk about on the family section, but one that I like that I was reminded of this morning when Miss Jones said, "Do you care to talk about that?" I was like, "Sure." And I said, "I've got a great example." So my alarm goes off in the morning and I turn turn over to my phone and hit snooze, but I look at it first and I get a remind from Miss Jones that says school is closed. So I get that remind before I even get any notification usually from the schools that school is actually closed. But we started a school-wide remind app, and there are currently 294 subscribers on that app, and she'll send several things out. And if you can honestly say that if parents don't participate in things at Greenville Elementary, it's not for lack of communication, because it's everywhere. It comes home with the kids. It's on the remind. It's on the school website. You know, all of those things. So it's not for her lack of trying or the staff's lack of trying. So super proud of the school culture and the teachers as well. When you go there on open house night, they make sure and give you the remind codes to get into everything, the after school groups, and I mean all of that. So great job to the staff, and super proud of Miss Johnson and Mr. Blake and all the staff here.
Well, I'm Angela McPherson, and like Shelby, I have been on site base now for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
My daughter's in 4th grade, and I started at Greenville when when she was in kindergarten, and we've been there since, and love it, love it. Miss Jones is always open for new ideas. I am also the PTSO coordinator, so I do a lot of that stuff. So anytime I have some kind of idea, Miss Jones is always like, okay, let me hear it, but let's talk about it. So, but she's always open for that. But some of the new things that we started this year was that our family resource lady, Sally Washburn, she's great. She does a lot for our school. And we need to be praying for our family resource people, because there's a lot going on right now with them, and they're needed in our schools really bad. But she puts together every month a newsletter for the family resource and for the PTSO. So I give my input, what I want her to put into that, and then she puts what she wants into it. So it's kind of combined, so that, like Shelby was saying, when you want parent involvement in the school, a big thing is communication. And I feel, again, at Greenville, there's a lot of communication there. It's we always are wanting parents to come into our school. And that's something Ms. Jones is never afraid to allow that. But sometimes to get them involved, and stuff, it's difficult. So we have to communicate with them. And I feel like we have a great program communicating with them with our newsletters, our reminds. We have a PTSO remind. We also have another program that we developed a couple of years ago. Me and another girl and a couple of Miss Jones and some other people, is a room parent program. And that's basically where at the first of the year we send out a letter. If you're interested in being a room parent for this classroom, let us know. That person is involved as far as, depending on your teacher, doing things for them, parties. It kind of takes that stress off that teacher. So like Valentine's Day, Mr. Kelso is,
she's my room mom, so I got a maid. I have a maid this year.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, piece of cake this year. I got a maid.
So sometimes we have sometimes we don't always have the participation once. So Miss Lovell's room there, but that's my daughter's math teacher, so that's fine with me, because they're right beside each other. And
I had
no
to share.
big deal.
It's all right, I guess.
That's right. I know it's hard.
It is hard, but that's okay.
But for Valentine's Day, we come up with, we're going to do ice cream, sundaes and things like that. So me and some of the other room moms will do that. Miss Lovell and Mr. Kelso won't have to worry about that. We just have to ask them, what time do we need to be there? What time do you want us to do? It's something to help the teachers. Some teachers are more independent. They want to do their thing. So I always let the room parents know, if they want to do their own thing, you let them. You just be there. You're just kind of there for them if they need you, Plus, my room parents are very involved in the school. They're very involved in my PTSO committee. Anytime anything goes on, and I I send out my remind, Miss Jones needs this, boom, boom, boom. I'm getting my responses. It's great. These are some great people that we have at Greenville. And then the parent volunteer program, that's pretty much our PTSO program. And when I first came to Greenville, I didn't realize that our PTSO pretty much pays for our field trips at our school. And that don't just include the trip, they don't just include like the admission if you're going somewhere, that includes the transportation, which is very expensive if you should know. Transportation. And the food, you know, wherever they're at, they're provided a lunch. And so we do that, and we make sure that every kid gets to go. So there's never that problem of so-and-so didn't have the money, so they're not gonna be able to go. Because that would break my heart, Miss Jones and them. So that's something that we're really big on, making sure that every kid gets to go on their field trips. So as a parent at Greenville Elementary, being there 4 years, you know, I can't thank Miss Jones and the school enough. All the teachers that I have there, they're so open, and you know, they really truly love the students, I feel like, and I feel like they're just great. You know, I can't say anymore, I don't know what it is. So, that's it.
On school safety, of course, that's our number one priority, as it is for every school in this district and throughout the state. But one reason why we're wearing these shirts tonight is because I knew we were going to focus on safety and culture, and that's the reasons why we purchased these. Is number one, culture, come together. You don't see the picture they took in the shirts, and that's just a big thing. The kids love it. They're proud wearing them. The idea came from the one word, where we have all the words on there, but also for safety, because we ask the students to wear these on their field trips, so the teachers can definitely easily locate the students and make sure they have everybody. Just various things. The main thing is knowing our kids. Of course, Mr. Davis has really challenged us to make sure that we're not only doing the required drills, but doing extra drills, and also making sure we're talking to the kids, and we've done that. Of course, all of our drills are up to date, and we're doing extra ones, but it's just amazing to see how well the teachers have taught the children, the students, the procedures, and it's just, you know, we never want anything bad to happen, but I feel like I told the fifth graders last week when I talked to them, I said, you know, we're not doing this to scare you, we're doing this to prepare you. I mean, it's to get you prepared. So they're really good about taking things seriously. Bus evacuations, since we've been doing the common area expectations, I've walked out a few times and thought, okay, this is a little, they're so quiet, and they're doing wonderful. So, I mean, we've got great kids, and that's why we're seeing the growth that we're seeing. It's because we have such great kids. But in addition to that, I'd be willing to answer any questions you have on the list. Our school visit, we chose to go to Concord Elementary School. That's in McCracken County. We chose this school, again, actually, Janora recommended this school to us. Demographics are very similar, but it was very interesting. We were able to observe firsthand their PLC process. They've been doing PLCs for several years. Very organized, very data-driven PLCs. They had a very organized schedule for us when we arrived. You can see the list of the staff members that went with us. They divided us out. We got to observe PLCs, classroom strategies, school-wide practices. And it was very interesting when we came back. Of course, we had a chance to meet that day as a staff and just debrief. But then after the fact, I sent out a couple of questions to each of the staff members that attended, and of course wanted to know what they saw that they liked, but then also what do they feel like Greenville Elementary is doing well, and reflecting on that, that we know our kids, and the higher order question and things that we were seeing, it made us feel good that we already felt like we're in the right direction, but of course continuing to make improvements where we can, and always open to suggestions. So that's it.
How was the weather, man?
He was great. Wasn't that exciting? Now, Mr. Kelso, thanks to him, he's the one that coordinated that and talked to Mr. Wayne Hart, came to be with us for our career day, and that was pretty neat.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'll say this, as much as the parents have said, I have felt very, very welcome in Greenville. Just, it's a good feel, and you guys have been great to me, and I enjoy being there as well, so I agree. It's been one of the nicest parts of this job is to be able to go into other schools, and you know, what they're saying is genuine, I see it every time I'm in there. And I thank you for your job, for your service on the site-based council that I know pays nothing.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
maybe a headache or two at times, but I appreciate that.
They are wonderful. We couldn't ask for anything.
Yes, I know,
That's for
my
sure.
son, I don't mean to point, he still says that Miss Mason is the one he attributes his manners to. She taught me good manners.
Hey, my daughter says the same
He
thing.
always
That's
says
the
that,
truth.
so.
She does.
That is a wonderful memory, so thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all. You got a lot going in your test scores and compared to state average. That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
And you made a tough decision getting rid of Grant, I think was the right call. Scott, congratulations. Thank you, Scott.
Hey, it's saving me on the attendance, because now, that's something that we are working on our attendance, and at least I can give Grant a hard time and some more kids.
Whenever they hear that we beat Greenville, they're really excited. So like I give it to Mr. Sharp.
Yes, and I do have to point out Miss Carver, under the radar over there, she is our academic coach, and our academic team just received first overall in our district this weekend.
A very exciting finish out here.
So that's a definite.
And to support what you all said about writing, they took 3 places, didn't they?
Yes.
In the writing.
Yes.
And my daughter was one of them.
And which was that?
So they took
She got
3 of the 5. Yeah, they took 3 of the 5 places.
Yes, 3 of the 5 places in the writing, and that's pretty exciting. It is.
Well done, yeah. Thank you.
Well, she can come write my paper now, because I've been working on it for 2 weeks. Still not done.
I'm much more verbal, as they all know, than written expression. I like to talk.
Thank you very much for.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. See
Many bags.
Mr. Castle, I almost had something to add about Wayne Hart.
I know, I was waiting. I was waiting. It was teed up. You had the opportunity.
I was going there with
in love with Wayne Hart.
She was in
She
love
was
with
like
Wayne.
high school girl
She
giddy.
was high school girl getting. She got to get a picture with him. You brought him in.
And I brought him in.
Now we know why. His wife must have said, you better get him.
Hey, why did you not get your picture with Wayne Hart?
Because my wife pushed him out of the way.
I got pushed out of the way.
He did a selfie outside. That's a great shot of our school building. He took a selfie out by the road.
Yeah.
He was
That was
impressed
really
with our
nice.
students that let him around the school. He emailed Angie afterwards. He was really impressed with
Oh, really?
our students and their manners, and it was really neat.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But no, she was. Catherine's a wonderful little girl. She did a great
She did a
job.
good job.
Get a cookie to go, guys. Subways are good.
Thank you all.
Thank y'all. Good night. Thank you.
Night.
We gotta
Five
adjourn.
We got
tomorrow.
adjourned.
We gotta, how about that,
Oh, we got to adjourn.
Yes,
My
we
bad.
do.
I'm sorry.
how about that thing you want to put on the agenda this Thursday?
I talked to him.
What is it?
Oh, I need to, I'll go ahead, finish what you're
It's up to
saying.
you, I mean.
Regarding the Ms. Young's request, what do you want to do?
We're just not ready to do something at this point. We're just getting more information. She's going to talk to Lyon County, some other schools to make sure that the school is the right place to host this. Some districts have it at different, like maybe the hospital or Penny Royal or whatever. So we just want to make sure that it fits. I think it's going to, but we may have to have a meeting. We may have to call one. But right now, they didn't find out about it till late. It's a lot of work. A lot of moving parts with this. I mean, you've got community members, you got the hospital, you got police. There's so many different parts to it. So we just don't have the information right now, I think, to present. I don't think.
Is our next meeting like the 15th? Is that?
Is it March 15th again, right? Because there's 28 days in February,
Like
right?
I was looking at my schedule, I was thinking it was.
Thank you. Thank you.
For our board appreciation. This is your all's board appreciation.
one.
Yes,
Thank you, Miss Jenny.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Very nice.
Thank
Well done,
you.
Stacy.
Thank you. Thank you.
They forget you.
No, then I went to the school.
Oh,
We
you
went-
went.
that's
Okay.
You went too, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really nice.
Okay, so are we done?
Make a motion.
Need a motion to adjourn? Have a motion by Mr. Johar. I'll second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I hear none.